3-minute girlfriend. Hashtag 3am, hashtag glamourfemme, hashtag low_poison, hashtag fox_sister, hashtag dense_suffocation.
Part 4. 3:27 am.
The place where Taehi swept away was so quiet that it was so quiet. Pieces of torn sheets were lying on the floor, and the room was filled with a primal stench mixed with the smell of fishy metal and traces of night. Seohyun stumbled and headed to the bathroom. I scrubbed my body thoroughly with the hot water pouring from the shower, but the rough traces of Taehi from last night, which were branded on the nape of my neck and the inside of my thighs, could not be easily erased. The red, swollen marks seemed to taunt. "You are mine." Seohyun in the mirror was unfamiliar. Her wet hair stuck to her cheeks, and the bags under her eyes were puffy. It was unbearably humiliating to see one's body so thoroughly exhausted by someone, but at the same time, the fishy residual heat left behind by that destructive stimulus continued to tickle the deep part of my lower abdomen unpleasantly, or rather pleasantly. It was a kind of self-destructive impulse. More. I want to melt it even more. But what Seohyun wanted now was not that animal-like roughness. I was sick of the pain and pressure that felt like my muscles were being torn apart. My body was exhausted, and my mind was exhausted. What I needed now wasn't the gentle kindness of licking the wound. Rather, it was a drowsy poison that dug into the wound deeper and more gently, paralyzing reason like a drug and causing confusion in the mind. Seohyun collapsed on the bed, without even drying her clothes. Cold water droplets fell from my wet hair and soaked the still hot sheets. My fingertips turned to the app again. In the darkness, the red tab of 3-minute partner was blinking enticingly. Seohyun nervously deleted keywords such as wildness, muscle, and rough lead that remained in the filtering window. This time, rather than roughly destroying Seohyun, she needed an extremely beautiful partner who would immerse her very slowly and gently. The summoning begins. This partner will completely occupy your mind and body. 3, 2, 1. It was an instant for the air in the room to become sticky, like honey. The fishy smell of iron and sweat from yesterday disappeared like a lie. Instead, a rich and strange scent that seemed to pierce the lungs completely took over the space. It was a dangerously sweet scent, a mix of dense tuberose that made you dizzy, heavy musk, and the sweetness of ripe peaches. It was like a sweet scent that made you intoxicated just by breathing in it. And then, the rustling sound of silk rubbing against each other broke the silence. When Seohyun raised her head, she saw an overwhelming silhouette standing at the head of the bed with her back to the moonlight. Her presence was completely different from that of her previous partners. Rich black hair waves that flow down to the waist. Each strand of hair was swimming on her white shoulders like a living creature. All she wore was a champagne gold silk slip held up by thin shoulder straps. The detailed story and adult certification text can be found on post type through the link in the More section.